Jody Hildebrandt was never my business partner, nor was I ever employed by her. I have never received wages from her or connections. Jody was employed as my son's counselor in 2019, and in 2020 I paid her to be my mentor.
I sincerely love these children. I desire for them to heal physically and emotionally.
Okay, so I'm sure we are all aware of what happened yesterday when Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt were sentenced. Absolutely appalling crimes against Ruby Franke's 2 children.
Held 2 children, ages 9 and 11, turning 12, in a concentration camp-like setting in her house in Ivan City.
Can imagine the shock horror on, well, mine and everyone else's who had been following them for long enough, including the 8 passengers, when all of this came around last year.
Your conduct in this case was disastrous for these children. Adults are supposed to protect children. Adults with specialized training in particular are supposed to protect children. The court finds under the statute, Utah Code 76-3-401, that given the gravity and circumstances of the offenses, the number of victims, and the history and character and needs of the defendant, that consecutive sentences are appropriate. The court imposes 4 1 to 15-year sentences to be again served consecutively for each of the 4 counts of aggravated child abuse.
They are both sentenced to 4 consecutive 1 to 15-year prison sentences, and I believe that the actual time limit is going to be judged by the parole. Now, if you look on different places, it will give you like 430, etc., etc. I'm just going based off of what the judge was saying, as it's a lot easier for me to break it down. So I'm going to be going into more what the family have been saying. We've got family from Ruby Franke's side. Her parents actually released a statement, which I'll be reading out. And then as well as that, we have Adam Steed, who we have spoken about on this channel. He actually went and he did an interview with, I think it was Mormon Stories and True Crime, if I've got that right. I'll leave it linked up here. I know that he appeared on a couple of different places, but his story is absolutely tragic. We have covered this one before. He was actually the main reasoning why Jody Hildebrandt originally had her license taken away. She then had it reinstated, given back. But his story is just absolutely tragic, and I do urge any of you guys, if you don't know of his story, to go and have a little listen to, if you just type in Adam Steed into the YouTube bar, lots of his stuff will come up, but it's really quite tragic, and it just shows just how much of a deplorable human being Jody Hildebrandt really is. Not to say Ruby isn't, but this is coming from some of Jody's ex-clients.
My choice to believe and behave this paranoia culminated into criminal activity for which I stand before you today ready to take accountability.
Now, I'm just going to start off with Ruby because I feel like a lot of people had a lot of things to say about what she was saying. And yes, I did feel like it was a Grammy speech. It felt like she was accepting an award.
I especially want to thank Detective J. Bate. She plucked me out of a situation I didn't know how to get out of. Thank you to the medical staff at Intermountain Hospital. Your skill, tenderness, and professionalism helped to heal my children. Thank you to my Bishop Tom Hawks and my state president, Jim Nilsson. Thank you to the Washington County Prosecutor's Office, Ryan Sham, the legal assistants and discovery clerks. Thank you to my attorney, Lamar. Thank you to Randy Kester for your limitless energy in healing my family.
She basically thanked everyone, including the people who were tending to her own children, which obviously, and this goes without saying, but it was the fact that she literally thanked the police departments and everyone. It felt like, I know a lot of people will probably say that, she's probably, this is maybe a more vulnerable side to her and people are really seeing that, but I kind of felt like she had front and center stage and she was being quite manipulative. That's just my own personal opinion. Does it even matter now? No, because she's literally going behind bars. What I will say is that when she said, I was never business partners with Jody, I do find that quite hard to believe, considering that she was literally listed as someone within the business on the website. But who am I to say? But she did get it right. She did hire Jody to be her son's counselor, her elder son's counselor. And yes, then she was seeking counsel, but what are we doing here?
Jody Hildebrandt was never my business partner, nor was I ever employed by her. I have never received wages from her or connections.
The fact as well that she was able to include the two key words of both distortion and delusion within literally the very first 20 seconds did not go unnoticed.
For the past 4 years, I've chosen to follow counsel and guidance that has led me into a dark delusion. My distorted version of reality went largely unchecked, as I would isolate from anyone who challenged me.
The keywords that Ruby and Jodie would often use in their connections classroom, in their mums of truth, they would often use these terms and they wouldn't really make a lot of sense. And I find it really interesting how she is still using that terminology. But before she started crying, one of the reasons why I do kind of think she is still trying to, take front center stage by thanking everyone and trying to make it seem as if, as if this is kind of what she wanted, as if she kind of has some sort of self-control. She has some control in this whole situation, is when she says, I want to take my preference of prison, as in going to prison is literally her preference, so that even if she does get sent to prison, she wants everyone to think, oh no, it's okay because she wanted to go to prison anyway, so really she gets what she wants.
It is important to me to demonstrate my remorse and regret without blame. I take full accountability for my choices, and it is my preference that I serve a prison sentence.
I also noticed that she didn't actually name her children in particular, and I'm not sure whether or not they were doing that purely out of respect for not bringing up names, but I did think that was quite odd, considering they did mention, Kevin, this might be the last time that you're really being able to address them. They may not want to come and see you whilst in prison. I don't know, maybe I'm thinking too far ahead of this.
The combination of three factors make Ms. Hildebrand a significant threat to the community.
Okay, so really interestingly enough, I actually found Jodie's to be the more littered, full of things, such as the judge was really laying it into her and making it quite known that she has shown no remorse throughout the whole of this, and that there are actually phone conversations that will be leaked, so we'll be able to listen to them. But in none of those, even though Jodie knew that they were recording her, was she remorseful. Apparently she's not been showing any remorse, and they described it to be the house where they were at. It was like a concentration camp, which just absolutely speaks volumes.
From May to August 2023, she and her business partner held 2 children, ages 9 and 11, turning 12, in a concentration camp-like setting in her house in Ivans. After being caught, Ms. Hildebrand has shown little to no remorse for her actions. In telephone conversations that will be provided in full to the Board of Pardons and Parole, and which she knew to be recorded, she's repeatedly claimed that she is the victim and the children are the perpetrators.
Terry, you suggested that there are 2 sides to every case. I generally agree with you. Ms. Hildebrand didn't make a statement to AP&P in the course of the pre-sentence investigation report.
Correct.
Why did she not make a statement?
She wanted to reserve her right to make a statement before the court today, and she has a brief statement that she wants to read, Your Honor.
And I know that this is her defense. This is her defense attorney. For the love of God, I would not be able to be a defense attorney. I see a lot of people talking about that in the comment section. I, for one, couldn't do it when you know that your client is in the wrong. But I do understand that there has to be defense attorneys. I just personally could not do that as a job. He's saying, there's 2 sides to every story, and she really is remorseful. The judge is not having any of it. He could not be having lesser of it, even if he tried. He has shown her no mercy, and I really want to listen to those phone conversations, because apparently she still blames it on the children, which does not surprise me one little bit.
And which she knew to be recorded, she's repeatedly claimed that she is the victim and the children are the perpetrators. She's gone so far as to say that the things said in this proceeding and covered by the media today will be full of lies. The combination of 3 factors make Ms. Hildebrand a significant threat to the community. First, the severity of the abuse she caused to be inflicted on young children. Second, her attitude that everything she did was justified and that she is being wrongfully imprisoned.
And for this reasoning, I'm kind of feeling, because the judge is so is really holding her to the flames, like holding her to the fire. I feel like he was a lot more than he was with Ruby. Because of that, I kind of feel like she might actually get a longer prison sentence than Ruby will. Based on, he mentioned that, you know, based on the lack of remorse, he was really going into a lot of emphasis with that. So it would be really interesting to listen to those telephone conversations. When she delivered her little like 30-second speech, she says that she does love the children, and I'm like literally rolling. I'm rolling. My eyes are so far at the back of my head, I can see my skull. I was not feeling it, not vibing with it. I feel like Ruby's speech was just unnecessarily to thank you. It was like a ceremonial speech. And Jodie's just, it kind of felt like she had to say something, but she didn't really mean it.
I sincerely love these children. I desire for them to heal physically and emotionally.
Now, what I do want to get onto reading is just a couple of statements. So I want to read one that I found over on the Reddit thread. So this is the 8-passenger snark Reddit thread. And this is the one from Ruby Franke's mum and dad, who they are Mormon. They have been away on their mission. So they haven't really been around for much of anything. We do know that they did come back. Dear Judge and Parole Board, we are Ruby Franke's parents. We are currently serving a full-time mission in Serbia. Before Ruby became involved with Jodie Hildebrandt, she was a wonderful mother, daughter, sister, and member of the church. I mean, sorry, I'm going to try and not pause this too much, but we all saw what she was like over on 8 Passengers before she met Jodie, didn't we? Anyway. All she ever wanted from the time she was a little girl was a family to love and nurture. When she began having troubles with her teenage son Chad, she sought out a family therapist/counsellor to help him. We noticed a shift in Ruby's thinking the summer of 2020, and by that fall, she cut all ties to us, her siblings and close friends. For 3 years, what brief communications we have had with her, she accused us of either things that never happened or she grossly exaggerated the events that did. She was delusional. She was so deeply brainwashed we could not recognise her. We received a postcard from Ruby 2 months after the terrible news of the children. We read her tender apology and humble acceptance of accountability. She expressed her gratitude for being incarcerated and felt the mighty wake-up call was a huge blessing. Since then, we have seen a return to the Ruby we once knew. Her thoughts and views are on her own. Her love, appreciation and commitment to her family is stronger than it has ever been. Ruby is more concerned about her eternal salvation than her imprisonment. Her testimony of the Saviour and his atoning power means everything to her. As her mother and father, we plead with you to show her as much mercy as you possibly can. Hopefully in time she will have a relationship with her children and they will remember the mother she once was to them and will find it in their hearts to forgive her. This would be the greatest healing balm of them all. Sincerely, Chad and Jennifer Griffiths. As a mother myself, I'm trying to put myself in shoes in which I can imagine if one of my children had done that to their children. It's really hard to even think about it. I don't know. I'm really struggling to, I struggle to find forgiveness. But I do know that in those kind of times, the kind of mother and father, you know, it takes over and you do try and offer forgiveness to your children despite what they have done. You know, to play devil's advocate, maybe she was completely brainwashed. Maybe she was. I mean, we do know that Jodie, and we've spoken about this a million times before, Jodie has a history of getting into her clients' heads, you know, telling them that their husbands are awful, telling them that the whole world is awful. She was a master manipulator. Even, you know, Jodie Hildebrandt's niece, Jessie, they said this as well. You know, many of her ex-clients have said this as well.
It's just been so tough to... People have no idea the impact this person had. The prosecutor knows. He's seen the redacted files. He had us sit on the front bench.
There you go.
As the victim family for this case.
That's incredible. So plates, you know, not a lot of the Frankie showed up, but you showed up and your family showed up today. You're several hours from home. This is not close to where you live. You've traveled to be...
Okay, so Adam Paul steed outside of the courthouse, and then he also appeared on Hidden True Crime. I will leave the Hidden True Crime interview that he did just down below, but I just wanted to go and read this Facebook post from him, which once again I found over on the Reddit thread, so shout out to you guys. I remember reading a Facebook post from him before because he has a open one and he regularly posts updates to do with this case. How dare you think you could do this and get away with it? I condemn all of these people that systematically protected the interest of the Mormon church at any cost, and who stood by watching lies of Jodi Hildebrandt turn to cement. It was a total racket. I had no idea how deep their lies and branding had gone until I saw the daylight of innocence finally coming. All of these people were cowards, and they know they were in neck deep with protecting Jodi Hildebrandt and the Mormon church. They stole my family from me to punish me for trying to stop all this. I knew who Jodi was. I can't explain what this has been like for me. This week has been a total emotional roller coaster as huge chains over my life, deeply rooted, are being torn from my flesh. I will never forget the day I was first accused of sexual child abuse by Mormon bishop, not my bishop, but a powerful litigation attorney with close court ties to Jodi Hildebrandt. How I couldn't even breathe. I had a panic attack in the parking lot of the courthouse afterwards. How in the courtroom that day Jodi Hildebrandt sat with Elder Richard G. Hellam, president of the first quorum of general authorities for the entire Mormon church. How Elder Hellam used to be over the scout camp where I turned in all the pedophiles the church leaders were hiding. Jodi Hellam, Doug Kelly, Commissioner Patton, all of these people worked together to propaganda what I now call sexual terrorism, to destroy the family of a whistleblower who was actively using his own abuse story to change the laws that kept victims from coming forward. They kept arguing that because I was a victim of sexual abuse, I wasn't able to be a safe parent. Then they got so much worse. The Utah County 4th District Court helped punish me for going against Jodi Hildebrandt. I have documents showing this. Records show that their public servants, who were supposed to be neutral in the divorce, punished me specifically for going against Jodi Hildebrandt. Court records show that servants of the Court Kelly Peterson Gal argued that my actions to turn Jodi into Doppel for violations were actually an act of vengeance, which they then took my custody away. The Utah County 4th District Court, in a racket, protected a serial child abuser. They destroyed my life to do it. They can never return to me what was taken. My children are almost grown up now. They can never give that back. Look at your child and now imagine if that despicable woman and all Mormon Utah County 4th District Courts could accuse you of whatever they want just because they can control the entire court process through the means of the Mormon church racket. The fact that Jodi is being sentenced to 4 consecutive counts of aggravated child abuse shows her true nature upon innocence. She is far worse than someone that physically abuses kids. She got into their heads and makes them feel helpless and hopeless. No area is safe. Developing sexuality of youth was not safe. Anyone that stood on her way was not safe. I knew what she was, and my life was destroyed for speaking up. I am up all night. I can't even begin to explain what it has been like to wait 15 years Jodi Hildebrandt to go to prison. Life is short, and this lady stole more innocence from my life than any paedophile did. To accuse me, an innocent man, of sexual abuse, to make me go through all the testing and loss of custody of my children was a form of sexual abuse upon my entire family. The thought that she did this to possibly hundreds of people is beyond me. But now, as more and more evidence comes flooding forward, the 4th District Court in Provo, Utah has got to be burying their heads. I can only imagine what they were thinking, seeing their regular colleague get sentenced. How many families did they destroy together? If you were a victim of these criminals, stand up. All victims out there, remember, you can heal, you can date again, get married, have another child, be totally in love. You can heal your life with your alienated child. You can become aware of PTSD. You can learn to have a graceful, fun life again. Okay, so like I say, his story is really quite sad, and it quite literally is at the hands of Jodi Hildebrandt and the Mormon church. I honestly, after all of this time, I don't even know what to say. I hope to God that, you know, the parole board actually do ensure that both of them spend a long time behind bars, that they're not just going to be in and out. I really do hope that, because what they have done to these children and to other couples and to other, in Jodi Hildebrandt's case, to other clients and to other people, what these 2 women have done is absolutely diabolical, and there needs to be better justice that is going to be served for these children who are going to have to recover from all of this. It's really hard to even find words on how to actually finish off this video, because this has just been such a monumental shit show. I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Please take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.